Mike Mountain, and I want to give a special shout out to Ralph Anthony Garcia of the United Ronin Networks at YouTube. Make sure y'all go to United Ronin Networks at YouTube. Check out his channel. Check out his series, Ralph Reads. Give it a like. Subscribe to his channel. And check out what he got to offer. Some really good stuff up there. This is Mike Mountain, and this message is approved by me. Peace.
Peace. Welcome to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN, the United Ronin Networks. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known as R4. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. On today's edition of Ralph Reads, we take the sixth trip into the mind of Jan 11 and his saga, Angelites, Body of Persons Empowered. On this sixth edition, show off your best tricks, magicians. Let the reading commence. Part 4, Chapter 42. Pastor Goode met Gina halfway up the ramp and gave her a fatherly hug. "I knew you'd come sooner or later," he said. "So glad you're still alive."
"You knew it all along, didn't you?"
she asked. The pastor nodded.
"Then you must also know why I'm here."
"I do," he replied, as they both dragged the bags down the aisle and left them by the side of the stage. "Before I begin, forget everything you know about this world. Get in touch with your inner spirit and let it listen to every topic I'm about to discuss." Jitters rumbled in her stomach, believing she was about to witness the spirituality her mother spoke of last night.
"I'll do my best,"
she said. "Very well. These events you're experiencing are not by coincidence. Those chosen to be Angelites are usually called after the genesis of a crucifix invasion. However, you're the first person in our history to ever thwart an invasion before it happened."
"Crucifix? Angelites? Am I hearing this right?"
"Correct. Angelites are spiritual warriors who have been chosen by angels to represent the kingdom of heaven. A supernatural war of biblical proportions is upon us, and you are the first in this generation to be graced with angelic powers. Your purpose is to prevent a takeover from Satan's army, whose plan is to forever enslave humanity. They want to force God's hand, hoping he'll end the world again, as he did with the floods centuries ago. But as long as people like us exist, there's still a chance to save the lost souls whose minds have yet to be freed." Gina looked doubtful. Ephesians 6:11-12 says, "Put on all of God's armor so that you will be able to stand firm against all strategies of the devil. For we are not battling flesh and blood, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in the dark world, and evil spirits in the heavenly places."
With all due respect, Pastor, but this sounds ludicrous,
Gina replied.
Yes, I believe in Christ, but supernatural wars deciding our fate? Battling demons that we can't even see? Our world is too sophisticated.
I told you to let your spirit be your guide. The crucifix is a collection of the fiercest demons and creatures Satan has ever created. Even though no weapon formed against God's warriors shall prosper, there's one weapon proven to be most fatal to human beings: temptation. Satan uses temptation to grant man's most selfish desires in exchange for their loyalty.
No, if Satan's powerful enough to lead an army, then why does he have to con people to join him? Why doesn't he just send some demons to possess human beings like in The Exorcist?
Satan cannot steal souls like a thief would steal valuables from inside a house. People willingly offer themselves to him because they've lost faith in the unseen, only trusting what's placed before them. By the time man discovers the truth that they've been conned, their resistance is too weak to fight back. Unfortunately, that number has escalated over the years. The Angelites have continuously prevailed because the human spirit was alive and well, but times have changed. Morals and standards in today's society have dramatically declined. Idiotic behavior is encouraged rather than disciplined, showering hate on those fighting for change, mourning the deaths of thieves and addicts as if they were civil rights leaders. The crucifix can manipulate and control the narrative to recruit more skillful soldiers.
What happens to people once they become Angelites?
Accepting this honor means you'll be elevated to levels human beings can only imagine. You'll be given special gifts elaborated from your physical traits. That means each Angelite may inherit a certain power that other warriors cannot duplicate. For example, a genius with a frail body would likely have mind powers such as telepathy, whereas a bodybuilder would probably be graced with superhuman strength or speed, maybe even both.
And you're saying that I've been chosen? I'm an Angelite?
Yes. She gasped in fright. Look at this as a blessing, Gina. You have all the best attributes an Angelite could ever want. Youth, strength, speed, intelligence, and courage. Plus, your combat skills are second to none. It's a jungle out there, Gina, and you're a lioness.
No, this can't be happening to me,
Gina vented as she stormed down the aisle, heading for the exit. You are definitely your mother's daughter. Sienna had the same reaction once she was chosen, frightened and confused. Most people remain trapped in a cocoon because they listen with their ears, not their hearts. Satan can kill your spirit once he controls your mind. In fact, he's messing with yours right now, using the guilt from your past as fuel to deny your calling.
Satan's in my head right now?
The pastor nodded. She walked back towards the stage, curious. He'll continue to mess with your mind for as long as you allow him to stay in there. Truth be told, the demons were working overtime on you, using your husband as the main antagonist to defeat you.
Was Paul one of them?
Paul was blind. He loved you for how you looked, not for who you were. They used Paul to attack you over and over while waiting for the opening they needed to bring you down. They finally found it on the night you nearly killed him. Once you moved to New Mexico, the demons hoped you never return. That's what caused us to steer your direction towards Wally.
Wally? How did you know?
You know the expression, there's an angel on your shoulder? Well, there has always been one on yours, whispering in your ear to go home. Your self-punishing emotions wouldn't allow you to listen. Didn't you find it kind of odd that Christine Jordan wound up in New Mexico of all places? She had a stunned look on her face. This is how God works. When you think he's doing things for your harm, they turn out to be for your good.
How do you know so much?
The angels, Gina. I hear their voices. Listen closely, and you can hear them too.
I think I have. During last night's shootout, a voice told me to save Alex. Then it told me to jump out the car before it crashed. But you know this already, don't you?
The pastor nodded.
It makes sense now. Instead of dying out in the desert, every occurring event has led me to this moment. Shackling myself so long with guilt, but unknowingly had the keys to leave the prison all along. But why me?
You're the cream of the crop, Gina. The pastor spread his arms in glee. In spite of everything I told you, no doubts had ever entered my mind. But I wanted to assure that the angels would indeed come for you. And that's why I was at the hospital that night. More than anyone, you deserve to have these gifts to help preserve life.
Why not just call my mom? Isn't she more experienced?
The pastor giggled. As great of an Angelite Sienna was, her love for her family was even greater. That came into perspective the day you started blossoming in her belly. At that moment, she stepped off the battlefield and chose to protect her family differently.
So that's why she was such a great attorney.
Yes.
Does she still have her gifts?
Every Angelite ultimately has a choice. Either protect life in battle or exemplify God's goodness through everyday life. She made her choice. Now the choice lies ahead of you. You can refuse these gifts and get back into law enforcement, or you can discover what great feats of strength and power you truly possess.
I don't know,
Gina stammered.
What would happen if I return to New Mexico?
I can't predict the future. What I can say, however, is you'll be able to make a difference, now more than ever. Albuquerque's got a liking to you already. It can only grow from there.
But I can also come back home and rejoin the NYPD, weed out corruption, and clean it up from the inside.
That itself sounds like a difficult task, but I'm sure you, of all people, can pull that off.
Now, what will happen if I choose the life of an Angelite? Do I want that life?
You're a great officer already, Gina. Just imagine the wonders you can accomplish with the powers of an angelic warrior. Yes, you'll be in constant battle, but rest assured that you'll be on the winning side, and that's the power of faith. Gina's heart twinkled with excitement. Rejuvenation had cleansed her body. Seeing these horrifying situations as a footstool toward her divine revelation. She looked up at the ceiling windows and watched the angels fly over in celebration. Clear with what she wanted to do, she looked back at Pastor Goode and said,
I'm ready.
Chapter 43. Pastor Goode escorted Gina to the front of the church. Light purple shades colored the neighborhood skyline. Gina astoundedly watched his robe wildly flap to one side, but didn't feel wind whatsoever. A rushing breeze brushed against her palm when she reached out to touch the ivory white cloth.
Are you controlling the elements?
She asked. Those are the angels coming, Pastor Goode said, looking up at the sky with his arms held out. They're here to witness the first Angelite of this generation earn her wings.
Witness? Am I auditioning for them?
Oh, you've done that already. This is your first training session.
Training? Now? I can't. I need to get back to my sister, Ed.
You'll have plenty of time to get back to Alexandra. Haven't you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood? Gina scanned both sides of the street. No activity. Deserted.
Are we suspended in time?
She asked. Yes, the pastor said. It may feel like we've been talking for hours, but only minutes will have passed by the time you exit this plane. With that said, shall we begin? Gina was curious as to where they would start. Power and skill are already within you, but what you need to learn is how to marry both attributes to work as one guiding force. Your limits will be tested to great feats during combat. You must know beyond a shadow of a doubt that whatever you put your mind to will translate into reality. It'll take some getting used to, but practice makes progress. After that explanation, Gina figured her first test would be something superhuman, like picking up a building or trying to fly to the moon. Instead, the pastor had a simpler task in mind. You have to get to your sister, right? Run to her.
What?
A bewildered Gina asked. I want to see how long it would take for you to run from here to your sister's home.
Wait, hold up!
She stammered.
You want me to run to Manhattan?
As fast as you can. Remember to be mindful of your surroundings and please take a break when you get tired. Forget the rules of the normal world and let your spirit fly free.
Whoa, Pastor. This is not what I had in mind. If I could fly to Manhattan, then cool. But you want me to run in these boots? Maybe we should rethink the strategy.
There you go thinking again. Peter walked on water because Jesus merely said to come to him. Then he sank because he thought about not drowning. You're currently demonstrating the same behavior because you don't believe in the gifts you've been blessed with. Walk on water, Gina. Gazing at the towering metropolis ahead, Gina dreaded the never-ending miles she had to cross, followed by the intense foot pain from running in her ankle boots. Nevertheless, she sucked up her doubts and got into her sprinter's position. Ready, set, go! Expecting to race through the city like lightning, she tripped over a pothole just after 2 steps, splatting onto the pavement. Cradling her ribs while rolling on her back, she bawled in frustration while fighting the harsh words ready to be expressed. She jumped back on her feet with more questions to ask, but the pastor wasn't around to answer them. Gina took a deep breath and jogged down the block, hearing the reverberated pounds of her heels smacking against the pavement. She enjoyed the quietness, though. Pleasant air flowed through her reddish locks. Passing a bodega, she decided to grab a few bottles of water for the trip. And then from out of nowhere, a taxicab drove across an intersection several blocks away.
Hey!
She shouted. Was there someone else here? Could this be a test, seeing if she'll give in to temptation rather than trusting her talents? With the speed of a cheetah, she took off down the street. Seconds later, she found herself standing in front of the cab. Trails of smoke left behind her feet. The church was the size of her thumb. Furthermore, the taxicab was empty.
So that's it,
she discovered.
Translate my thoughts to reality. See it first, and then it'll happen. Got it, Pastor.
She turned her sights toward the view of Manhattan.
How far is the Harlem River from here?
She wondered. It took only seconds to find out as she flashed through the entire county and skittled in front of Yankee Stadium. Like just hitting the lotto, Gina spread her arms out like wings and joyously shouted, "Woo!" On pure adrenaline, Gina ran around the Bronx like a kid in the playground, swooshing around buildings, zooming through city parks, leapfrogging over parked cars, and yet she still had energy left to burn. Stopping at the 3rd Avenue Bridge, she gazed at the rippling waters of the Harlem River and thought,
Walk on water, huh?
She backed up a few feet for a running start. FDR Drive was on the other side. Here goes nothing. She blazed down the street and bulldozed through the guardrail. Water split from under her feet like Moses as she zoomed across the river at a record pace. She leapt over the guardrail on the other side and landed in Harlem River Park. Water dripped from every part of her body as she jumped around and pumped her arms in excitement. The amazement didn't stop there. She went to take off her jacket and saw her sleeve instantly dried up with one touch. She then touched her shirt. Again, water was dissolved in seconds. She ran her fingers through her wet mop hair and watched silky red locks flow before her eyes. While drying her pants, she realized her cell phone was in her pocket the whole time. She took a look at it. It must be ruined by now. But no. Antenna bars and a full battery icon displayed on a brightly lit screen as if it came fresh out of the box.
It still works.
Wondering what else she could do, the Angelites sprinted onto the FDR highway. Both lanes were filled with abandoned cars looking like an outdoor parking lot. Gina squatted down and grabbed the bumper of a Lincoln Continental. She expected to lift the car a few inches off the ground. Instead, she launched it countless feet up in the air. Minutes later, thunderous sounds were heard several miles away.
Oh my God!
She shouted. Like a baby with a tantrum, she flung cars like frisbees across both sides of the highway. At one point, she played a solo game of football, throwing a car far ahead and then running over to catch it.
Maybe I'm telepathic too,
she guessed, willing to try whatever came to mind. She ran to one of the damaged cars and examined every detail from the wheels to the radio antenna. Her idea was to bend it back to its original shape.
Okay, I can do this,
she repeated while wiggling the nerves out from her limbs. The Angelite closed her eyes and concentrated on reshaping the metal. Nothing happened. Pushing her body further, concentrating harder, Her body temperature began to rise. Unsteadiness commandeered her legs. Blood trickled down her nose. A pop from the metal sounded as a small dent straightened. But the strain was too overwhelming. Gina collapsed to the ground. Her energy was gone, exhausted as if she ran a marathon on soft sand for 2 days without any water. For the first time since her training started, she gasped for air. "I told you we start simple," Pastor Goode mentioned as he walked through the vehicular junkyard. "You need to crawl before you walk, Gina. However, I am impressed that a small dent did unbend. You truly are special." Being helped to her feet, Gina leaned on the side of the car for balance. She wiped the blood off her nose with her sleeve. White flashes appeared before her eyes. Her dizzy spell ran faster than a carousel.
Why am I?
"You moved too soon," said Pastor Goode. "Although you've been given these divine gifts, your body has yet to adjust to them. Like any athlete, mathematician, or pop quiz champion, you only get better with training. The more your physicality adjusts to its newfound power, the faster you'll recuperate. Then one day, your powers will peak to the point that you'll hardly need to re-energize at all.
How long would it take?
Your weakened state will wear off momentarily. But back in the real world, it'll usually take a few hours. Combat will inevitably be the only way to harmoniously train your mind, body, and soul. Use your power wisely. Until then, for there won't be time for a water break."
Got it. Actually, I'm feeling better already.
Gina was able to stand and breathe regularly.
One step at a time. Did my mother make the same mistake?
Sienna was ambitious, but even she knew her limits.
Could a demon have unlocked my power?
With the downward spiral your life was taking, eventually they would have sent someone to attempt to manipulate you into joining their side. I doubt they would have succeeded. They must have thought the same, since they never tried it.
Have they successfully recruited potential Angelites before?
Yes. Most of them were promoted to higher ranks, carrying out their most fatal assignments. Any person who remains unguided can become a crucifix soldier. Be our eyes for us. Recruit whoever you can, but truly see these people for who they are.
Will they come to me?
As long as you stay in faith, you'll see everything you need to see. Your training has ended for now. Continue your investigation, for this is when the key leaders of the crucifix will reveal themselves. By the way, when Alexandra asks you what happened, tell her everything. Her keen mind is priceless. Farewell, Gina.
Thank you, Pastor.
Now close your eyes. Just as her eyelids shut out the evening sky, Gina felt a strong blast of wind strike her cheeks. She then found herself back in front of the church. Street activity resumed to normal. Pastor Goode was gone.
Goodbye, Pastor,
she whispered.
Thanks.
She lifted her heels off the ground and rocketed out of sight, leaving a trail behind, burning on the concrete. Chapter 44. Gina arrived at Times Square minutes later. She swished through the Alto 57 high-rise building and stopped in front of Alex's door. Should she knock? Maybe she can vibrate through the door? Worth a shot. Just for fun. Taking a few steps back, she bumped her legs and rubbed her hands together. She concentrated on becoming transparent, envisioning moving through the steel door like a specter. Ready, set, go! She couldn't move past a splitting headache once her head slammed against the door. Tumbling to the ground, Gina massaged her forehead and said,
"Guess I'm not ready for that one neither."
The door swung open and Alex charged out to the hallway, angrier than a hornet. Shocked to see her sister slouched against the wall, she helped her to her feet.
"Are you alright?"
she asked.
"Yeah,"
said Gina.
"Just humbled." "Okay. Now why the hell did you bang on my door like you're the damn police?" "Technically speaking, I am the police."
Alex ushered Gina inside her industrial-style condominium, fully furnished and equipped with the finest technology, high-speed internet, voice-recognizing doorbell, surveillance cameras, and soundproof walls. Her entire complex contained a living room, dining room, walk-in closet, kitchen, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and a laundry room. Her lavish terrace displayed a glorious view of Times Square, iconified as the center of the universe. Amazed at her sister's astonishing residence, Gina stepped inside a technically sound remote office formerly known as the spare bedroom. 3 large computer screens mounted on the wall, displaying history records, map grids, and police reports. Alex's team gathered as much information available about the church robbery.
"So how did it go with Pastor Goode?"
she mentioned.
"It was a real eye-opener,"
Gina sighed.
"but I'll explain that later. Show me what you got." On a hunch, I took the initiative and investigated the origin of last night's robbery. Something stinks to high heaven in the state of Denmark.
Alex moved the cursor to the first screen and clicked open the 66 precinct incoming call history from the NYPD database.
A call came in about strange men lingering around the back of the church, which was then dispatched to their officers as a robbery in progress. The precinct is only a 15-minute walk to the church, meaning the trip's even shorter by car. However, the cops never arrived. Why would they blatantly ignore a disturbance call in their district?
Gina wondered.
If you think that's strange, then check this out. Another report was dispatched about a murder at the same location. EMTs arrived and reported that a man was found beheaded.
Good Lord.
Going by the multiple wounds on his hands and chest, detectives on the scene suggested that the man attempted to foil the robbery and took a lot of punishment before being killed.
Did the man have a name?
According to DNA samples and fingerprint scans, he was identified as Officer Don Crass.
Don Crass.
Brief history lesson. Don Crass was the rogue officer who escaped the infamous 14th Precinct raid just days ago. News anchors referred to him as the last of the Ravages. Detective John Hart went public as to say,
John Hart? Why does that name sound familiar?
Maybe someone you used to work with?
Gina fanned her hand.
Anyway, Captain Randall and his officers were hit with a laundry list of charges, which would put them in jail for life. One of those charges included the assassination of Crispin Pagnucci.
Pagnucci was killed by cops? Impossible. He owned cops like baseball cards, especially out in Long Island. No one would dare have the guts to cross him, not even the greediest of officers.
I see you remember him. How can I forget? Besides, I read about his death in the paper and it stated that every last bit of his fortune was stolen. True, and every last dollar of that fortune miraculously wound up in the 14th Precinct's basement.
Has any come forward stating they were framed?
Randall claimed to have proof implicating Detective Hart as the chief architect of Pagnucci's murder among several other heinous crimes. Then later that night, every one of those cops was found butchered in their cells. Surveillance footage showed nothing but a rolling flashlight. Prison guards still have no idea how they infiltrated security. The audio, however, was too sickening to bear. Someone went to great lengths in making sure these cops never spoke to anyone. Got a whiff of that stench yet?
What about the thieves we encountered?
Alex moved up to the third screen and played the surveillance video at the intersection.
I waited for the cops to show up after you left. I gave them my full report on what took place and the thieves were then carted away. But as you can see, they were never taken to the station.
She double-clicked on another window and played new camera footage. Gina watched the squad cars abruptly turn away from the precinct. Where were they being taken to? This is getting stranger by the minute. Alex was right. More layers unraveled from this onion showed how much this debacle stinks.
What about Sylvan?
EMTs dispatched Bronx Lebanon Hospital to alert the coroner for fresh DOAs.
Alex clicked open the hospital's case records on the second screen.
What do you see there?
Gina discovered that Sylvan's name was not on the list.
Before you say anything, I cross-referenced Sylvan's name through the police database since I didn't know his last name. He was still an active officer for the 66th precinct. That explains why the cops never showed up to the robbery.
They were the ones committing it.
Weakening in the knees, Gina sat on the edge of the table and ran her fingers through her hair. Did she hear that right? Her longtime friend had turned to a criminal?
Why would Sylvan resort to stealing?
She wondered.
Credit to that Mayor Goldberg. Over the years, he decided to cut the budgets of several civil service departments, hoping to close the gap of the city's huge financial deficit. He thought by concentrating more on city attractions, more tourists would come to visit, thus grossing more money. He thought wrong. The crime rate had grown tremendously, while Goldberg's approval rating crashed like the stock market.
What an arrogant piece of shh.
Gina shook off that last insult.
Do you know where the bodies went?
Oh, how the plot thickens, big sister. I checked the Newswire online and listened to Trisha White's exclusive report about Don Crass. Thanks to a hidden source, she revealed that Crass's body was taken to Brookhaven Memorial in Long Island. Most dead cops go there.
She quoted her sources saying,
Why take the body so far out?
I have no idea. Why don't we find out? Great idea. But got any food?
Gina had a sudden urge to eat an entire buffet.
In the fridge. Help yourself.
Gina went to the kitchen and was disappointed to find only bottled water, a pack of ramen noodles, and a spoiled orange sitting in the refrigerator.
This is it?
She hollered.
This all you got? You need to get your butt to the grocery store, girl.
Well, as you can guess from my current lifestyle, the time for me to get groceries is slim to none,
Alex lectured while walking to the living room.
Therefore, I hardly have time in between catching terrorists to make out a shopping list.
How about buying, let's see, anything? That's a good place to start, don't you think? Sheesh, you don't even have protein shake stock in this fortress.
I am a federal agent, Gina. I take on cases that most government officials won't even touch. I chase international criminals regularly. So I ask you, do you think I have the time to sit up here and be Rachel f***ing Ray to you?
Gina realized she went overboard.
You're right, Allie. I'm so sorry. It's just that I have such a huge appetite all of a sudden. Like grouchy hungry, you know? Hangry. I need to get some food. What can I get around here that's quick? Pizza. That's it. I'll run out and get a small pie. Do you want anything?
Didn't you say you were getting a small pie?
Yeah, that's what I'm getting. But do you want something?
What's with you, G?
Never mind. I know what you like. I'll be right back, but leave the door unlocked this time.
Alex went back to her office and impatiently spun in her office chair. A minute later, Gina appeared by the doorway holding a pizza box and a gallon of water. Placing the items on the desk, she peeled off 2 slices and stacked them on top of each other.
You wouldn't believe what happened to me today,
Gina mumbled with a mouthful of cheese. Alex was floored. Chapter 45. John Hart gathered his demented regime for a final meeting at Club Candy Cane. Last-minute plans had to be made before their full-scale onslaught against the city took place. Posing like it was prom night, John stood in front of his bathroom mirror with a cheesy smile wide enough to show all 32 of his teeth. He wore a charcoal gray Fidado Uomo suit with a matching silk, styled his hair like a slick-back 50s greaser, and the watch on his wrist had more diamonds than a jewelry shop. Entering his office sporting a tight purple leather suit, Rocky Diamonds leaned against the office door and said,
"We're all present and accounted for. Just waiting on you, honey."
"Keep them cool for a minute, baby," John flirted as the phone started ringing. "I got to take this. Also, tell Zeke to take a head count." Rocky gave one last glance over her shoulder before closing the door. John waited a minute before answering the call. "Checking up on me, Grandpa," he said. "Thought you'd be happy to know that our teams will be moving in on the property after midnight, just as we discussed. Everyone is present and accounted for. Weaponry is an unlimited supply, and the plan is airtight. Don't you worry about a thing. I've got everything under control." "Do you think that's why I'm calling?" an agitated Grandpa scolded. "Hart, you've got your head so far up your crack that you can't even see the facts when they're slapping you against your clueless face." John wondered why his mentor was so angry. "Oh, I get it," he remembered. "I see why you're so fired up. Don Crash, right? I got a call from the 66th precinct, and they told me all about the private eye who helped Crash escape, and she happens to be related to that IA broad we offed. I gave the word to our lovely blonde friend, and she's gonna tie up that loose end. So, no problem." "There is a problem, you fool! Explain to me why there's an FBI agent on her way to Brookhaven. And since your buffoonery caused this mishap, I'm going to take a wild guess that you failed to notice some loudmouth reporter stating that Crash was being taken there for further evaluation. Can you explain how she acquired such classified information, detective?" John was stunned. Damn it! That bleached, blonde bimbo, Trisha White. I swear, I'm gonna chop off her head and hang it over my bed like a chandelier. I like that. Chopping off heads sound like a good idea. Because that's what I'm going to do to you if you don't right this wrong. The FBI won't find out a damn thing. Even if they come across one of our dirty little secrets, I always got SWAT on standby to wipe out all perpetrators. It won't be that simple, my dumb little protege. There's an Angelite traveling with them. What? John's confidence dropped to a cowardly stutter. That's right, genius. And guess who it is? Your old friend, Gina Vasquez. John nearly fainted, fumbling the phone on his desk. Now, this is a really big problem, and it's happening on your watch. Therefore, you need to find a way to stop her, or else the greatest siege we ever orchestrated will be nothing more than a jailhouse fantasy. Do you see what your near-perfect demonstration of clownery is costing us? I guess I was wrong about you. To me, you look like a man who's incapable of handling this stature of power. Me? You're gonna blame all this on me? How is this my fault? She's been rotting in a desert hole for years without any contact with the real world. Worthless to any department who'll hire her. Why the hell didn't you kill her when you had the chance? Don't try to clear your conscience at my expense. You're a failure. And may I remind you that you'd also be rotten in the hole if not for me preventing Martha Combs from exposing you as the low-life snake in the grass you are. John stayed silent. That's right. It was I who allowed Miss Strutter to make an example out of that nosy agent. Did you honestly believe that some feeble pencil-neck geek like Reeves had the stroke to pull off such a task by himself? Glad you threatened him, by the way. Saved me the hassle of doing it myself. But remember this, boy! I can create and alter worlds. You best to watch your tone with me before I reach through this phone and rip your and throw it out. Understand? Yes, sir. John gulped. Phase 1 will go ahead as scheduled. You guys will have 60 minutes to get in, clean house, and get the hell out. No witnesses get left behind. No evidence gets left behind. Or else you and your team will get left behind with the blade through your heart and 2 bullets in your skull. Get me? Got it, sir. Also, I want Gina Vasquez gone. Execute the plan of her assassination and the agents that are with her. And I want all of this done before sunrise. I'll need more power to do that. What's that? Come again? You telling me to go out there and fight a war, but not giving me what I need to win. I got Mercedes out there. I got Vasquez out there. Not to mention the cops who are not in our network and now the damn FBI. I'm asking you to please grant me more power. Your groveling is an embarrassment. Just thought you should know. At least Vasquez developed her power with training and discipline. You got lazy, John. Expected everything to be handed to you like a waiter. Nothing's changed since the day I spotted you tripping over your shoelaces 5 years ago. You haven't learned a damn thing, have you? Seething with anger, John clenched his fist so tight that his nails dug into his palm. However, drastic times call for drastic measures. Close your eyes. I'll give you the power you need to end the Angelite. John closed his eyes, expecting a large demon to swoop through the room and possess him. After minutes of humming, Grandpa yelled, "Mephisto!" He stayed quiet for a minute.
You're all set. Tell your top associates to chant that word, and they will become stronger too. You can thank me now.
John thought it was a joke. That's it? That's all I get? Fisto? Am I supposed to kill the Angelite with Fisto? No summoning the hierarchy of darkness to bless their top soldier with the powers of a god. Nothing. Just Fisto. Grandpa laughed hysterically.
First of all, you're nowhere near a top soldier. Do us both a favor and pop that overrated thought out of your putty brain right now. And second, if you don't believe that's good enough, then grab some poor simpleton and judge for yourself. Now, I've given you the plan and the power. You have no reasons to fail, right? Call me back when your business is concluded.
John slammed the phone and fought back his tears. From what was supposed to be a grand evening had become a nightmare. With Gina Vasquez and Natalie Mercedes both involved, his probability of success had gone from certain to maybe. However, he focused on the best news of the night thus far. His upgrade in power. Chapter 46. John burst through the doors and grandly entered the room, wall to wall, filled with cops. Rocky and Rusty were drinking cognac on the love seat. Zeke napped in the corner. Khalil Reeves flipped through a newspaper. Harvey Gaines was flirting with a couple of meter maids. "Listen up, people," John announced. "Before we begin, I'd like to discuss a major hiccup that has come to my attention. First off, let's not get panicky. I don't want to make a big thing out of this. If we're honest with each other, then we can fix the problem in no time. With that being said, who the hell spilled the beans about Brookhaven Memorial?" Cops looked at each other like kids caught stealing from the candy store, waiting for the other to talk first. None dared to utter a word. "Honesty, people. Honesty, I said!" That Trish bimbo is yakking her big mouth on the news that Crass's body was going to Brookhaven. How the could she have known that? We all know what happens to DOAs in Brookhaven, don't we? He paused. "Where's Metzger?" "Guess he handled his business on the toilet," shrugged Harvey. The crowd cackled. "Get him out here, will you?" Harvey stepped out of the room and walked to the end of the hall. He pounded on the bathroom door like a stage manager at a star's dressing room. "Meeting starting!" he shouted. "Wipe your ass and get the hell out here, man!" The toilet flushed. Without washing his hands, Metzger rushed out of the bathroom while pulling up his pants and buckling his utility belt. Harvey dragged him into the conference room. Metzger showed apologies to his fellow officers. "Get up here," John ordered. Metzger tucked in his chin and slowly walked up to the front of the group, embarrassed. John gave a comforting smile. "Do you like blondes?" he asked in a friendly voice. "What man doesn't, sir?" replied Metzger. "Put me in a room with 10 of them and a six-pack, you won't see me for years." Cops laughed all around. John smirked. "Where were you today?" You mean right now?" No, you idiot. On the job. You work assignments. Where were you today? Oh, okay. I was at the church checking out the job our boys did last night, and that Mercedes broad wanted to follow Crass into the ambulance. I made sure that didn't happen, sir. I wasn't going to let our operation be tainted because of some... Wait a minute. Mercedes? You think I said something to Mercedes? I didn't say a damn thing yet. Please continue. Well, he gulped. Mercedes was persistent, fighting to get by. As I said, I didn't let her. Then I would have executed her myself. I was just informed that she's now on the radar. I'm so sorry for not taking care of... I'm not talking about Mercedes. Were there any news crews out there today? Yeah. There was, Channel 4. Yeah. A bunch of reporters hollered questions at me, but I told them to back off and... Except one, right? Metzger's jaw quivered like a swimsuit model in Antarctica. John closed his eyes and inhaled some oxygen, ready to unleash his newly gifted power. He opened his eyes. They looked like two large onyx marbles. Metzger gazed into the darkness. He was frozen solid, trapped under his boss's control. You were saying? John asked in a dual whispering tone. Metzger gave an emotionless confession about having a coffee with Tricia White. You told her about Dawn Crass, didn't you? Yes, Metzger drowsily answered. And with a bat of an eye, you blabbed everything to her about Brookhaven. Yes. Didn't you see she was using you? Why would a bleached blonde bimbo like her be interested in a dingleberry like you? Wishful thinking? Wishful thinking. Damn good idea. Because now I'm thinking of something I wish would come true. John turned toward the group. I warned you all about the penalty for failure. Here's an example. He turned back to Metzger. Take out your gut. Metzger mindlessly upholstered his weapon. Put the barrel against your head. Unflinchingly, the officer pressed a gun against his temple. Shoot. Cops jumped from their seats and gasped in fright. Skull fragments flew across the room. Blood trickled from the hole in his head, splashing on the gray carpet. But miraculously, Metzger's body never dropped. He floated several inches off the ground while his arms and legs hung limply. John's eyes changed from shining onyx to crimson red as he curled up his hand like an eagle's claw. He twisted his hand like a drill into Metzger's chest, folded it inward like cardboard. His uniform went up in flames. A demonic specter emerged from the fire. Shrieking at high pitch, wobbling like a mouse stuck in a glue trap. Its very existence got sucked into John's blood-colored eyes while Metzger's dead body twisted like a wet towel, grinding into skeletal dust. John laughed maniacally as he fully consumed the demon into his body. He felt himself get stronger. At the snap of a finger, the flames extinguished. His eyes returned to normal. Horrified cops leaned over and gawked at the anthill of their former colleague's dusty remains. Indistinct whimpers scattered throughout the room. He pushed back his hair and warned, "If any of you ever decide to put your own needs before mine," he pointed at the ash, "this will be the least of your problems." Rocky Diamonds was called to the front. "Get a hold of our friends at Brookhaven and tell them they should be expecting uninvited guests. Make sure they give them the proper greeting."
"You got it,"
Rocky replied. She strutted toward the door and wiped the dust off her expensive boots. "Now that the sideshow has concluded, I now call this meeting to order." John got behind the podium as if he was about to recite a presidential public address. "Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come to execute the final phase of our operation. Fools will call it the ultimate terrorist attack. It will indeed, however, be remembered as the day of our salvation." John handed the blueprint to Rusty, ordering him to roll it out across the large table. "Our target is the Federal Reserve Bank." Enthusiasm circulated the room like students going on an overnight ski trip. "Elected officials will have specific roles to play. About a third of you will accompany me to the bank. The rest of you will follow Khalil to the other side of town. We have some unexpected vermin in need of extermination. The FBI." "What?" Zeke shouted. "Are you serious? That sounds completely ridiculous." "The only thing ridiculous around here is your constant complaining," John snarled. "You're getting on my nerves, Zeke." "There's no way you can shut down the FBI within a matter of hours. It can't be done." "Excuse me? Do you know who I am? Did you forget which team we play for? We have the power to accomplish the impossible. Besides, the FBI headquarters is never fully staffed overnight. It's going to be a cakewalk." "Sir," Harvey Gaines raised his hand and asked, "Not that I doubt your plan or anything like that, but what if the mayor decides to call in the National Guard or the Army and whatnot?" "Good question, Mr. Gaines. My answer to that is he won't. When you've lived in this crappy city for as long as I have, you know that government-funded armies never get involved with city problems unless city officials can gain something from it. Catch my drift? And speaking of the mayor, the city will be begging for his head on a stick once our plan has succeeded." "Aren't you forgetting about the state police?" "Are you kidding? I own the state police! For the wondrous things I've done in that department, I've never given them a reason not to trust me. At least, none they can remember." Cops laughed. "Once word gets out about the heist, they will kick their feet up and have a drink once they hear I'm on the case. Now, are you going to shut your mouth and let me finish? Or do you want to sit here and continue to insult me with your lack of faith?" Surrounded by a sea of angry and annoyed faces, Zeke leaned back in his chair and crossed his arms, putting the debate to rest. "If all our tasks are carried out as planned, we will be rich beyond our wildest dreams come morning. We will be more powerful than the government that continues to poison this planet." "Yes, sir!" the cops shouted. This will be the proudest day for all mankind. After 5 years of looting and killing, this day will make it all worthwhile. We will be given what the masters have promised us: money, power, and respect. No more taking orders from suited monkeys who don't know a damn thing about justice. No more sharing the streets with petty thugs. No more trusting criminals to do our jobs for us. We will own this city. Nothing will move unless we allow it. Tonight, the city. Tomorrow, the world. The cops roared like a herd of lions, pumping their fists in the air while chanting, John raised his arms like a king and basked in the triumph. Chapter 47. After the meeting, Rusty, Rocky, and Harvey were summoned to John's office. Zeke stalled a bit before leaving the conference room, confused as to why he wasn't asked to join them. He waited to hear voices to eavesdrop on the conversation, but after a few minutes none of them said a word, so he just left the club without care. Perhaps the disagreement bothered John more than he thought. "Coast is clear," said Harvey, with his ear up against the office door. "Zeke's gone. Why didn't you want him up in this piece? Still pissed at him for trying to play you earlier? You could say that, but I'll deal with him later. Now that we got the place to ourselves, we can get down to business." "So what up? What you got lined up for us?" "Just a few changes in our plan. First off, Harv, I need you to go with Khalil to the FBI building. Make sure things run smoothly. I don't trust that son of a bitch as far as I can throw him." Come on, man. I want to run up in the bank with you guys and flip some Benjamins in my hands, know what I mean? Not babysit some wet mop-looking egghead and his merry band of tightwads. What's up with that, John? "It's got to be you, Mr. Gaines. You're the only one tech-savvy enough to break into the FBI security mainframe."
Doesn't Khalil do that computer wizardry too?
asked Rocky. "Oh, please," laughed John. "Installing a Norton antivirus and writing code for blog pages hardly qualifies as a technological whiz. Besides, Harv's my guy. With him in charge, at least I know this thing will get done right." John handed Harvey 2 microchips centered by blue glowing crystals. "These are called ghost bombs. Instead of planting some plastic device the size of a television, these 2 little friends will wipe out the entire building and 10 blocks after. These stupid agents will need to rip the entire building apart to find these babies." "You expect me to upload these bombs like software?" asked Harvey. "Exactly. But what if the Angelite shows up before—" "She won't. I'll see to that." Harvey took the bombs and put them inside his vest pocket. Happy to share the surprise of the evening, John wrapped his arm around Rocky's curvy waist and walked her to the middle of the office. Rusty and Harvey followed, wondering what was next in store. "Now comes the fun part," he said, rubbing his hands together. "I have an early Christmas present for the 3 of you, my most loyal soldiers. You have yet to fail me or question my orders, so I feel you deserve this gift more than anyone." The 3 cops smiled in excitement, expecting a bonus or a high-tech weapon to play with. "Are you ready?" His henchman anxiously nodded. "Me Fisto!" After about a minute, their smiles dropped to frowns. "What the is my fist, yo? Asked Harvey. Rusty wore a confused look, wondering if he heard that word somewhere before. Rocky just shrugged. I want you to chant that word separately or as a group, and it will practically guarantee you victory. Compliments of our sweet old grandpa. He's given us power, my friends. Raw power. Bloody hell! An enthused Rusty shouted. You mean I can have 20 guns on my back and feel like I'm carrying the paperweight? Hell yeah! I'll have the money and the power without releasing the stupid rap record. Thanks, mate!
Is this power just for us, or are you sharing this with the group?
Asked Rocky. Oh, hell no. Those cops downstairs know what they signed up for, said John. Their lives are now owned by the crucifix, so they'll be getting nothing but a pat on the back if they manage not to get themselves killed. What about Khalil? That goofball's lucky to still be alive after he lied to me about hiring Cat Strutter. He's now in the same category as Randall. He'll be kept around until he's outlived his usefulness. And Zeke? Zeke. He and I were the first ones to embark on this journey. At one time, I thought of him as my brother, but I haven't recognized him lately. His lack of focus has been bothering me. I promised that he and his wife would be taken care of at the end of this, but that doesn't seem to be good enough for him anymore. I fear he might turn on us. With that said, who you think will stab you in the back if given the opportune moment? The three cops shook their heads no. Even if John was wrong, they would agree with whatever outlandish thought that entered his head. Follow every command he ordered. They were true believers of the cause, so blinded that they would sacrifice their lives for John's vision to come true. And knowing this, John took full advantage of their naiveness. If it were any other cop, they'd be dead by now, John continued. But Zeke is like family. He just needs some time to come around. Still, I'm keeping one eye on him and the other on my back. If he wants this power, I'm afraid he's gonna have to earn it. Chapter 48. Brookhaven Memorial Hospital had an entranceway with more twists and turns than a roller coaster ride at Six Flags. Alex parked at the furthest corner of the outside parking lot in the back of the building. During the trip, Gina enlightened her about the meeting with Pastor Goode. She learned about the crucifix, the angels directing her to Wally, and now being superhuman. Alex didn't know how to react. The idea of her sister being transformed into a divine superhero was a tough pill for her to swallow. Leaning against the steering wheel, all she could say was,
You gotta be kidding me. I'm as shocked as you are, Allie,
Gina said.
I still don't know why I was chosen, but the passion in Pastor Goode's voice uplifted me so much that I saw angels descending over the church. It seemed like too much of an honor for me to pass up. Just like Mom must have felt when her time had come. You saw what I did in your apartment. How can I kid you about something like this? I wholeheartedly believe every word you just said, Gina, and that's what scares the hell out of me. Christ, here you are telling me that you've been blessed by angels and... Damn it! I'm scared as hell to even look at you right now. Did you think this whole thing through? I mean, are you doing this because of honor? Or do you still believe you need to redeem yourself about what happened? Why the hell would you put your life at risk again, Gina? I understand your confusion, Allie. I can try and explain it to you until I'm blue in the face, but you wouldn't understand the joy and peace I felt when I talked to him. I know that's not what you want to hear, but trust me, I want to do this. My God, what the hell is going on here? Could you do me a favor and ease up on the H word? Kinda irks me when I hear it.
Alex calmed down and fell back into her seat.
Gotcha. You're right about one thing. I do feel like I still have something to prove. That night still eats at me, and I can't ever change that. But what I've learned is I alone have the power to not let it control my life anymore. I still need to forgive myself and move on as best as I can. This honor is much higher than any rank in the police department. I want to do this for you, Mom and Dad. I finally get to do what still passionately burns inside of me. Even after all these years, I get to serve justice. For God! How can I say no to that? So what now? Am I supposed to just sit back with my feet up and listen to the radio while you go storm the gates and turn this place upside down? Can you turn this place upside down? Doesn't work that way. Pastor Goode said it was vital for me to conserve my energy. The more I use, the faster I'll tire. My power levels will increase as far as my conditioning will allow it. With that said, let's remain incognito for now. You lead, and I'll back your play. Fine. We'll investigate and knock down anyone who stands in our way. Okay. But this discussion is far from over. I promise we'll talk more about it later. Let's move.
Chapter 49. Bright ivory shined from the lobby walls as if they were large fluorescent lights. Gina and Alex walked to the information desk and asked for the office of the morgue director. The receptionist pointed to the row of elevators down the hall on her left side.
Go to the 7th floor and follow the signs,
she said. Power walking to the elevators, thumping sounds sprouted inside Gina's eardrums while passing the patient's rooms. Glowing chest cavities emerged before her eyes, floating around the hall like a virtual reality video game coming from doctors, visitors, and whoever else crossed her path. Gina slowed down, trying to shake the neon visions from her head, but she couldn't.
Are you alright?
Alex asked, shaking her sister's shoulder.
You feel like you're flying through the roof or turning green or something? I'm fine.
Gina sighed as the vibrant images vanished.
I thought I saw something. Let's go.
There was one elevator station with the doors opened. The lady stepped in and Alex tapped on the 7th floor button until the doors closed. Just in case of a mishap, she pulled out her firearm and made sure the bullet clip was full. Gina fought to keep her head in the game, dismissing the freak accident she experienced downstairs. Once they reached the 7th floor, they spotted a sign on the corner with a red arrow that read, Morgue Office. The ladies made 2 left turns and then a right just to get to another long hallway. The office was well hidden from the rest of the hospital, ironically. Acting like everything was okay, Gina was frazzled at how clear she could hear the machines working in more passing rooms. Her powers must be blooming by the second, maybe because she'll need them momentarily. Finally getting to the end of the hall, they found the morgue office. Felix Williston, director, was plastered on the front. Slowly, they opened the door and crept inside. The director was hunched over in his chair and whispering into his phone. Startled by their entrance, he immediately hung up the phone and demanded to see some identification. "Who are you?" he asked, straightening his tie and grabbing a stack of papers as if he was hard at work.
First mistake,
Gina thought, since the words and headings on the paper were all upside down. He's hiding something. Alex presented her badge and announced,
I'm Agent Vasquez.
She then pointed to Gina.
This is Special Agent Vasquez. We're here to investigate the bodies of the officers that were brought here earlier. Where are your DOAs usually located?
Felix hesitated.
Good evening, agents. Which bodies are you looking for?
You heard me the first time, Doc. But let me say it slowly so you can fully understand. Where are
The stiffs.
Well, I'm sorry, Agent Vasquez, but I can't just let you waltz into the morgue without an escort. Let me call security and, have them send one up right away to not further delay your investigation. Now, I will need your, name and, rank so I can enter it in my...
As Felix went to press the intercom button, Gina bent back his finger.
What do you think you are doing?
She asked.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Felix yelped like a hungry dog.
I know what an intercom button looks like, and never have I seen one the size of a quarter before. Is that a secret alarm? Why would you need that in a morgue? Who are you trying to alert?
No one.
You're lying, Doc. I see that in your eyes.
Get this through your head, mister.
Alex interjected.
We can do things the easy way, or we can do things the hard way. Blase blah, the same old cliche. Still listening?
Felix frigidly nodded.
The easy way would be to show us where you keep your deceased, and then keep your mouth shut. Do that, and you have my word you'll go home in one piece. However, the hard way will be, well, we don't need to get into that, because you're going to give us what we want either way, anyway.
Felix cried.
I haven't received any bodies in the past week. Please, you got to believe me. Check the manifest for yourself.
You're lying again,
sighed Gina, seeing his chest vividly glow red.
They must be hiding something juicy, Agent Vasquez. Do you know how serious the crime of perjury is to a federal agent?
Alex challenged.
That means I'll put you under the jail for the rest of your natural-born life if you lie to me again.
Okay, 13. They're on the 13th floor. Please let me go.
Felix's red glow diminished to neon green. Gina released her bone-crushing grip, realizing he was telling the truth. As the doctor tucked his aching hand under his stomach, Alex handcuffed him to the leg of the desk.
Stick around for a while,
she said.
We need to talk.
Grabbing his keys and ID card from the desk, Alex stormed out of the office. Gina closed the door behind her and then wedged it into the frame, sealing it shut. Chapter
Where are you going?
asked Alex.
Elevators are this way,
Gina responded, pointing in the direction they came from. The agent shook her head and wagged her finger like a nun in Catholic school.
No, that's too easy. The doc was sweating bullets in there. Something about that morgue has got him spooked. I doubt it'll be kept in the open where anyone can gain access to it.
You're right about that.
Gina spotted a set of red doors at the other end of the hall.
How about that way? The sign says, employees only.
That's more like it.
They hurried over to the red doors. Locked. Electrical tape covered the square glass from inside. Alex glimpsed over and waited for her sister to pull out a trick from her sleeve. Gina grabbed the knob and slowly twisted it until the lock snapped. Alex snuck in first. Gina followed and then wedged the door shut. The room was the size of a cafeteria, but it looked like a storage closet. Miscellaneous equipment such as vending machines, monitors, and folded hospital beds filled the entire area. Stationed at the far left corner was an elevator.
Bingo!
Said Gina, pointing for Alex to see.
This is getting better by the minute,
Alex joked as she parted through the junk. By the time she got there, Gina was already waiting for her back and left foot against the wall.
How'd you get here so fast?
I jumped.
Gina shrugged, smiling.
Show off.
Gina pressed the call button while Alex got on her phone and contacted Agent Lloyd Scruthers, second in command of her task force. A dapper British gentleman with long and shaggy brown hair and a Bond-type accent, smooth and mesmerizing. Lloyd sounded pleasantly surprised to hear from his lovely boss. However, she skipped the formalities and got right into what she needed.
I need emergency transport from Brookhaven Memorial for a possible witness,
she said. Witness transport? Aren't you supposed to be on vacation? Scrothers asked.
Vacation? What's that?
She joked.
Locked inside the morgue director's office is Felix Williston. He may be linked to a conspiracy involving the murder of Officer Don Crass. I need him brought back to HQ for questioning.
Okay, I'm on it. Gina heard the elevator dock, but the doors didn't open. Alex swiped Felix's ID card through the slot mounted on the wall, and then the door slid open. Floor buttons ran from 1 to 12 and then continued from 14 to 20. The 13th floor didn't exist.
Stand back,
she warned.
I'll jump through the ceiling and check the shaft for a secret opening. Good idea. Wrong approach,
Alex said. She pressed 14 and the doors closed. Just as the elevator passed the 12th floor, she pressed the emergency stop button.
Since you're the one with the superhuman strength, be my guest.
Gina dug her fingers in between the doors and pushed them apart, exposing a dimmer and gloomier hallway. They found the 13th floor.
You're something else, Allie,
she complimented.
Lucky guess,
Alex modestly replied. Gurneys were seen lined up along the walls, filled with leaky body bags lying on top. Garbage cans overflowed with gauze and bloody rags. Waxed floors smudged from all kinds of fluid. An unbearable stench lingered. Swinging doors stood at the end of the corridor. The ladies lightly pushed them open and found a cluster of operating rooms.
What kind of morgue is this?
Asked Gina.
Let's split up,
Alex suggested. Gina checked the rooms on the right while Alex headed for the left side. Neither of them found anything peculiar. But as Gina approached the last room, crackling sounds snapped in her ear like crushed peanut shells.
I think there are bodies in here,
she whispered.
But I hear movement. Could they still be alive? I don't know. Search the others while I check this one.
Gina entered the room and found large steel cabinets on the wall known as cold chambers. Bodies were identified by numbers rather than names. An uneasy feeling came over her as she approached a chamber in the middle row. She cautiously pulled the cabinet open.
My God!
She screamed in fright but quickly covered her mouth. Lying inside was a deceased Sylvan Livingston decorated with scabs and mutilated organs.
What's wrong?
Alex questioned as she rushed over, gasping at the grotesque sight.
Good Lord, what have they done to him?
Gina fought back her tears and silenced her whimpers. Alex gripped her shoulder and asked if she was okay. It took a minute, but Gina got a hold of herself and waved off that she was good.
Strange. Looks like he'd been lying here for years. His body is ice cold, skin as blue as the ocean. These are the slash wounds I told you about,
she said, pointing to one.
Puzzling. They're still fresh. How is that even possible?
Trails of blood leaked from under his body, being sucked from a vacuum below his feet. Alex took pictures of the wounds with her camera phone. Evidence.
I can see why that doc was so spooked,
she sighed.
Since when does a morgue suck fresh blood out from dead bodies? Definitely one that's not from this world. Shh.
The agent heard taps. Footsteps coming from the hallway.
Did you hear that? Hear what?
Gina could hear nothing but the crackling sounds from within the chambers, like a burning flame or paper crumpling.
Keep search here. I'll be back.
Alex crept out to the hallway, seeing both ends swallowed in darkness. Reaching for her firearm, she sensed something lurking beneath. They're being watched. Suddenly, a brawny SWAT officer dropped from the ceiling like a ninja. He wrapped his massive arms around the smaller agent. One arm coiled her body while the other arm smothered her mouth. She couldn't wrestle away, couldn't scream for help. Death was inevitable. And then it hit her. One part of his uniform wasn't armored. Below the waist. She sprung her leg back and kicked him as hard as she could. Seeing twinkling stars before his eyes, paralyzed with intense pain, SWAT man's grip went limp. Alex pushed him into the wall and ran back to Gina. Before she could warn her about the danger coming her way, 2 more SWAT cops appeared, blocking her path. Meanwhile, Gina investigated the other bodies, puzzled at how they were still able to produce so much blood. One cabinet left unchecked, massive heat coming from the handle. Strangely, she heard faint cries for help. Bracing herself for the worst, she took a deep breath and opened the cabinet. Gasp! Her heart stalled from the horrid scene she witnessed. A ghostly image of Sylvan being pulled into a black hole, wailing and begging for help. Gina went for his hands, but it was like grabbing air. She couldn't save him. Sylvan got sucked into the hole like dirt to a vacuum. Gina looked inside the cabinet and discovered the black hole was an opening to an unearthly realm. Wails from the dead sounded like whistles at high winds. Ghastly spirits swirled around a burning blue flame. Below was a horde of demons salivating at the sight of Sylvan's soul, suffering unimaginable torture. She felt the utmost sorrow. Hearing the slightest sound of her whimper caused the demons to turn in unison. They licked their grotesque chops while gazing at her watery brown eyes. Gina wanted to run, but was too frightened to move. The blue flame morphed into a fiery creature. In a raspy and horrid tone, it yelled out, "You!" Gina jumped away from the cabinet and stomped it closed.
Was this morgue a feeding ground for demons?
She frightenedly thought. They know who she is.
Gina!
She heard Alex shout. She bolted out to the hallway and appeared behind the blocking SWAT men. Grabbing each by their utility belts, both were thrown through the ceiling like space rockets.
Our cover's blown!
Alex coughed.
We need to get the out of here!
Gina scooped her sister up in her arms and in a flash placed her down by the elevator.
Wait here,
she said before swooshing back to the operating rooms. Excitement gleamed from her face as flickers of lightning sparked from her hands. She felt her powers blossoming. Hiding in the dark were 24 SWAT grunts waiting to ambush her. Cockily, she stepped out in the open and called out,
"So, just you 20 lousy grunts? You gotta be kidding me! Come on, let's play!"
SWAT men charged at the Angelite like Vikings on pillage. Amazingly, she saw their attacks coming from a mile away, as if someone pressed a slow-mo button on the DVR. One of them got within an inch of her personal space. She wrenched her arm back like a baseball pitcher and threw the hardest punch she could muster. The grunt's helmet cracked like an eggshell as he levitated backward and knocked his group down like bowling pins. Adrenaline flowed through her veins like ice as she swished around the hall, throwing punches and kicks faster than a kung fu expert on a merry-go-round. Slamming up against the wall and sliding across the floor, not one SWAT goon came close to touching her. Never saw her coming at that. It was a one-woman slaughter. Back by the elevator, Alex held open the door, hoping her sister would return shortly. Weapon still in hand as she scanned both sides of the deserted hallway. Unbeknown to her, 3 SWAT grunts quietly dropped down from the ceiling hatch like alley cats. They had signaled to gun her down on the count of 3. Alex heard a click. Her eyes rolled down. Nothing broken under her shoes. No other doors had opened. Behind her, in a fraction of a second away from death, she dove to the ground and quickly fired 3 bullets into the elevator. SWAT men tumbled to the ground as smoke rose from the holes left in the eyeglass of their helmets.
Think I was born yesterday?
She smugly responded while getting back to her feet. She then shrieked like a frightened kid as Gina touched her shoulder.
Are you alright?
Her big sister asked.
I heard shots and thought, wow.
She spotted the fallen SWAT men.
Was this you?
Alex displayed her tactical work and replied,
Told you I could take care of myself.
Gina easily flung the dead SWATs across the hall while Alex pressed the first floor button. Minutes felt like hours as they impatiently waited to leave this convoluted hospital. But as they approached the lobby, Gina heard a plethora of weapons being loaded from an even larger group of SWAT officers waiting for them. She hit the emergency stop button on the 4th floor and separated the doors open.
What's happening?
Alex asked.
A welcoming committee is waiting for us,
said Gina.
We need another way out. Maybe there's a direct route to the parking lot.
Gina swooshed down the hall and searched for a floor plan.
I found it,
she said, reappearing beside her sister.
But we'll get there faster if I carry you. Embarrassing,
exhaled Alex as she wrapped her arm around the Angelite's shoulder. Seconds later, they switched over to a walkway on the 2nd floor, bridging the hospital to the garage. 2 security guards blocked the doors on the other side. Immediately, they reported into their walkie-talkies. We got 'em!
How do you want to handle this?
Alex asked Gina.
Does Spain ring a bell?
Gina charged across the bridge like a bull seeing 2 matadors dressed in red. The doors flew open while the guards bounced over a few cars. Gina swished back and piggybacked her sister through the indoor parking. Finally reaching the outside, Alex jingled out the car keys and jumped behind the steering wheel. Just then, sirens roared throughout the hospital and several squad cars skidded onto the hospital grounds. Revving the engine, Alex floored the gas and zipped through the twisted courtyard, taking shortcuts by driving through the perfectly cut grass. Oncoming squad cars made skidding U-turns and intently pursued them. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known Crucifix, Angelites. By the time man discovers the truth, coño, fucking hair in the way. Her idea was to bend it back to its... I told... For this is when the key leaders... Coño! Gina... His probability of success... Are you f***ing kidding me with the f***ing train, bro? At 2:33 in the morning? Get the f*** out of here! You have yet to fail me or question my orders, so I feel you deserve this gift. Damn it! Grabbing each by their utility. No other doors had opened. Bahanapantis, a magnetizing manly musk, hinted with a splash of light.